Well, I've been coming for a month now, way before the election, about the Trump ace that could win him the election. And uh, and now Scott Adams in episode 1182 a few days ago saw the Trump ace too. So I'm going to just play what he said and let you figure it out. Here we go.
I will now do that hobby where I act as though there was one variable that was the one that happened. Okay? This is my opinion, and it's my religion. If at any time during the election cycle, President Trump had called a press conference and said, look, I just want to settle one thing. Biden is running his campaign based on the Find People hoax. I want to show you the video in front of the world. I want to show you the part that he quotes, and then I'm just going to let the video play so you can see the part that the fake news doesn't show you. There's nothing else I'm going to talk about today. This is just a press conference to show you that this is the alpha hoax and it was never true, and see for yourself. And then he just plays it, just stands aside and just plays it. And it gets to the point where he says, without any prompting, after he said Find People on both sides, without prompting, he let the video play and he goes, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and white nationalists. They should be condemned totally.
So that is this one here.
And I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis or the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally.
So I have it on my phone.
And on that sentence, you should just turn off the video, look at the crowd and say, all I'm asking is that you put a little bit of scrutiny on your own media sources. This lie is one of the worst lies in American history, and you bought it completely. And it probably changed your opinions about the other allegations against me, and made you think maybe that isn't true. Because if this one was true, it might influence you on the other ones. And people are making a big deal about this one, so you feel like this is true. If at any time the president had simply made a special press conference just about that, just on that one topic, and didn't take questions, this is important. Don't take questions, and then just walk off. That video would exist forever, and all of his supporters could retweet it every time somebody brought up that.
That video does. Just go YouTube for Trump, not the Nazis, in quotes, and you'll find the clip. I've posted it.
Every time Biden would say it again, it would be attached on the social media statement, whatever, doing see the team on. And of course, maybe CNN doesn't show it, but social media would be strong enough to get it out. Now, it's one thing when I debunk it, or Steve Cortez, Joel Pollak debunks it, because there's an assumption that we're sort of in the tank for Trump and we would just make up anything. That's what other people would imagine. It's not true. It's not even close to true for any of the three of us. We would just make something up to bring a point. I don't think the three of us have ever done that. Just make something up. But if the president had done it and treated it seriously, he would have needed an apology. All he needed was to debunk that thing, and he would be easily elected, even if there was fraud. I don't think they could have frauded it enough to keep him out of the White House if he'd done that one thing. And he didn't.
So, playing the part they omitted was the one thing he could have done to take the Nazi target off people's backs. And you have to understand, while everybody thought that Trump was a Nazi, it now allowed everybody to condone cheating him. All those posties out there, they know Mrs. King's, been getting these Republican publications, so, there's her ballot. Oh, she's not going to get it. Or they pick it up and they notice Mrs. King and it's gone. So you have all these people with the incentive to screw Hitler. And that changes everything. But if you could have destroyed the Hitler myth that he said Nazis were fine people before the election, maybe there wouldn't have been so many people so eager to cheat Hitler. So yeah, it would have won it for him, I believe, but he could have played the card better. So now we're going to play it again with commentary from me. All right, here we go.
I will now do that hobby where I act as though there was one variable that was the one that happened. Okay. This is my opinion, and it's my religion. If at any time during the election cycle, President Trump had called a press conference and said, look, I just want to settle one thing. Biden is running his campaign based on the Find People hoax. I want to show you the video in front of the world. I want to show you the part that he quotes, and then I'm just going to let the video play so you can see the part that the fake news doesn't show you.
Now, I don't call it the part they don't show you. I call it the part they omitted. if you want to make the argument of a lie by omission or of omission.
There's nothing else I'm going to talk about today. This is just a press conference to show you that this is the alpha hoax and it was never true. And see for yourself. And then he just plays it, just stands aside and just plays it. And it gets to the point where he says, without any prompting, after he said 5 people on both sides.
And I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally.
Oh, if only Scott had the tape on his phone, eh?
Without prompting, he lets the video play and he goes, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists. They should be condemned totally. And on that sentence, you should just turn off the video, look at the crowd and say, all I'm asking is that you put a little bit of scrutiny on your own media sources. This lie was one of the worst lies in American history, and you bought it completely. And it probably changed your opinions about the other allegations against me, and made you think maybe those are true. Because if this one was true, it might influence you on the other ones, and people are making a big deal about this one, so you feel like this is true. If at any time the president had simply made a special press conference,
There it is again.
just about that,
If at any time.
just on that one topic,
If he'd done it.
didn't take questions.
If he played the ace.
Don't take questions, then just walk off. That video would exist forever, and all of his supporters could retweet it every time somebody brought up that rumor.
Okay. Walk off. Disagree completely. You've caught them in a lie of omission to smear you and put a Nazi target on Scott's back. Okay? It's not enough to just say, here's the proof that you guys smeared me, ha ha ha, and walk off. You got to say, here's the proof you guys cut this out. I need an apology. Don't you see the difference? Now, that's why if you play it to their face, you can demand the apology right away. Now, I've had 4 previous videos on this. First one was called Dead Dems Walking, because everybody who used the Charlottesville Nazi intimation is now forcible to apologize because it wasn't true. And they lied by omission, or they got suckered by the omission, one or the other. And then the second one was lift the Charlottesville Nazi target off Trumpers' backs, where I started playing the 6-second clip, the Trump ace, saying this is how you make them apologize. And the third one was Trump ace demands apology with a question mark, hoping he'd do it, but he didn't do it. And finally, the last one, a few days before the election, was none dare demand dem apology, except me, you know. So those 4 videos were out there as I was trying to get them to demand an apology once the ace of Trump had been discovered. Now, Scott discovered it late. After the hand is over, the game is over. We could have used you speaking up then if you'd seen it then. I'm going to call this the Taj Professor move. Show the ace, play the tape, and then demand apology right there, as opposed to show the ace and then walk off with disdain. Not good enough. These people got the guy in Portland killed by smearing him as a Nazi. They got your people scared and attacked all over the country by being smeared as Nazi supporters because Trump said that, Nazis were fine people, and you can prove it wasn't true. But an easy lie of omission, the easiest kind of lie to show. So you play the tape in front of their face and you demand the apology. And that is the strongest Taj Professor move possible. Okay? Now, I'm going to keep going. There's more.
Every time Biden would say it again, it would be attached on the social media statement. They're never going to see the debunk.
Okay, so remember that. Trump, not the Nazis. I got that 6 seconds up there. You can find it at YouTube if you want to tape it and then use it on your phone to make Democrats apologize for having deemed you a Nazi supporter, right? So, interesting card that's still playable by everybody.
And of course, maybe CNN doesn't show it, but social media would be strong enough to get it out.
Well, yes, social media would be getting strong enough if you demanded the apology. Because then people would be saying, why are they asking Dems for an apology? Oh, because of an omission to create a lie that smeared Trump and his supporters as Nazis. That's why they're demanding an apology and not just walking off.
That was one thing when I debunked it, or Steve Cortez, Joel Pollak debunks it. because there's an assumption that we're sort of in the tank for Trump and we just make up anything. That's what other people would imagine. It's not true.
How can they imagine you would make up something when you play
I'm
it?
not talking about the neo-Nazis or the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally.
How are they going to say you made that up if you had it in your hand? Sure, if you don't have it in your hand, you can fall for that argument and think you won't be effective, but you can still be effective. Your liberal friend, can you really have a friend who considers you a supporter of the Nazis? Okay? So, make your liberal friend apologize. It's the only way you'll get your friend back, by making him apologize for having been suckered into believing that Trump was a Nazi and you were supporting him. So there it is. There is the card that you could have played too.
It's not even close to true for any of the three of us.
That's right.
We just make something up to win a point. I don't think the three of us would ever know.
Yeah, that's right. How would you make up the tape though? Get the point? Anybody can play the tape and suddenly their credentials are irrelevant. Is the tape valid?
Makes sense. But if the president had done it and treated it seriously, he would have needed an apology.
But demanding the apology would have dispelled the smear much more forcefully. Okay? And it demands an apology. These people, the bad ones who omitted it, smeared Trump and his supporters as Nazis who can be beaten up and wished dead in the United States. That's the terrible lie that Scott Adams described. And he's lived it. So I'm saying, I'm sorry. You gotta stand up and demand the apology. You can't just walk away and say just dispelling the nasty smear is enough. It's not. You know, I mean, you don't have the killer instinct that a good poker player does, sadly.
Well, he listed one bad thing and he would easily be elected, even if it was wrong. I don't think they could have frauded him enough to get him out of the White House if he'd done that one thing.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, what's interesting is, imagine if Trump offered to pardon every postie who did something with the ballots illegally and confesses, okay, because he thought he was screwing Hitler. And now that he knows that he'd been tricked, he wants to confess and you're going to give him a pardon. Wouldn't that be neat, eh? Pardons for everybody who confesses to their wrongdoing while they had been tricked by the big lie of omission. Isn't that neat? So, don't need to just debunk it. You need to demand the apology. Now, you can also stop the fraud, hopefully, by demanding an apology. It's the only way to shame the Democrats, either the ones who omitted or the ones who got suckered. You can make the ones who got suckered apologize to you for having believed that stuff about you. That was a complete lie that you can show them and make them listen to. So that's a wonderful situation, and it can still be used. If Scott does it with his liberal friend, plays it, demands an apology, sees what happens, maybe he'll do it with another liberal or another liberal. Maybe Republicans will take the 6 seconds and play it for every liberal and say, I think you should apologize for having considered us Nazis, right? So it's not just Trump who could have done it. It would have been most effective for him to have done it to Biden, sure. And I was the only person in the world who saw the Trump ace way before the election screaming, play the Trump maze, the Taj professor's move. You got to play and demand an apology. 1, 2, knock him out. And it didn't happen. And that would have changed the election, I believe, just by deterring people from cheating him if they no longer thought of him as Hitler because it had been exposed. So that's basically it. There's 2 elections coming up, and it would scare me to think that the Democrats might be able to rule the Senate as well. And let's just remember that all the Republicans in Georgia can start demanding that the Democrats apologize for having believed they were Nazis. So Scott's not the only Republican who can now get the target off his back. You can all do it now that you know there's an ace out there, which you missed during the hand, but it's still there for playing the game. All right? And last time, I played it 31 times in my first 3 videos.
And I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis or the white nationalists, because
Now, apologize for having believed that he said the Nazis were the fine people when they told you that. Wow. So that's it. Oh, Scott, I hope you can pick this up and you can pass it along and start getting the Republican friends and allies to get their Democrats to apologize for either lying by omission or having been suckered by it.